It says, according to the summary, Rocky carried a starter pistol for security measures, which he was known to do after being the victim of violence and home invasions. I believe that is sufficient.
Your Honor,
I believe that is sufficient notice of what he's going to say. Do you want to say anything else?
yeah, I do. I need to say something else, Your Honor.
All right, say whatever you want to say.
So, Your Honor, there is no incident that is related here. So there is no way, as a competent trial lawyer, when they give a generality and they simply say, and that's all we get, he was a victim of violence and home invasion, then the court believes that that is sufficient for their discovery obligation for him to now talk about specific incidents, which, by the way, he said he related to them. I'll be clear. They were given that information before.
Mr. Lord, you better tone it down some and don't yell at me.
I'm not going for it.
Oh, yes, you are. Tone it down.
They were given this information clearly during the interview they had with him. They did not turn it over. There is no way. How am I supposed to be able to cross-examine this witness when I'm ambushed with 3 incidents that I've never heard of?
All right,
before he
let me
takes-
hear from
Your Honor, again, this is not a complete presentation. It's not a
his position is, since it mentions 3 incidents, 3 specific incidents, but it's not in your summary.
Your Honor, right here, Rocky carried a starter pistol, prop security measures, which he was known to do after being the victim of violence and home invasions. And that's what he's going to do.
His complaint is that it's not set forth the specific incidents.
It's a summary. That's what we stated. That's how we started this. And we talked about home invasions, which is what he spoke to.
Just so it's clear.
Reasonable minds can differ. I believe it's sufficient.
Your Honor, so,
If there was no mention of that, I would agree, in the summary, I would agree with you.
Your Honor, again, they have 12 bullet points here. Nothing specific at all. Remember, Your Honor, they're not allowed to give me a quote summary. That's not what the code requires. The code requires them to give me what he said. So what they've done is they basically gave a summary where they left out any detail whatsoever. The court's aware of it. The court said.
I have it.
So, Your Honor, how exactly am I supposed to cross-examine a witness when they are coming up with specific information that I'm supposed to have been given 30 days before trial, and I'm hearing about it as he's testifying, and I've raised the issue at least 10 different times? Your Honor, I predicted, I told the court on the record repeatedly, we have 12 bullet points for an hour's worth of interview. They're saying they didn't record it. They're saying that they didn't take any notes. They're saying that they didn't write anything down. That absolutely flies in the face of reality. I've done this job 30 years. You've done it even longer. There is no possible way that the defense did not cover these areas that they are asking them about in advance. The fact that they're not providing them, Your Honor, and that's just some of them. So now what I have to do, this also goes to, I give the court 5 other examples from his direct evidence, his direct testimony. But now what I have to do, Your Honor, is I have to basically go through and I have to now address to the witness, well, listen, you testified to so-and-so. Did you previously relate that information? He has now said that he did. He said, I told him that with respect to the 3 incidents. We don't have it. Your Honor, under 1054.3, that is as clear a violation as you can have. The court's position is going to be, well, they told you that there was an incident that he did it for security measures for violence and home invasion. Imagine if the discovery on our end, this prosecution, was, hey, we're not going to tell you anything about the case, but someone got killed. Never give you facts, but someone was shot. Your Honor, would we be taking the woodshed, which would be appropriate? So my problem is that
You would be taken to the woodshed if there was not a police report and that was not conveyed to the defense.
and we don't have any report, we don't have any tape, and it wasn't conveyed to us. So the problem, Your Honor, is I'm doing the best I can
Right.
to try and cross it, but then the court is also.
I've heard enough.
All right.
No, I don't need anything from you either. In my belief, this certainly could be more expansive, but I think it is sufficient. As far as you cross-examining, I'm not aware of anybody who can cross-examine better than you. I'm sure you can figure out a way to cross-examine him based on what is contained in this summary. We're off the record.
Do you consider yourself, what do you want me to call you? Do you want me to call you
Mr. Phillips.
Mr. Phillips? Mr. Phillips, do you know what the word unbiased means?
Yes.
Do you consider yourself, when you're coming in here, to be an unbiased witness?
Yes.
So, is it your position that if the defendant committed these crimes, and it's proved beyond a reasonable doubt, that you want to see him convicted?
I was there. I know the defendant didn't commit any
Most
crime.
of the strike is non-responsive.
That's not the question he asked you. He asked you a yes or no question. Listen to the question again and answer the question.
Can you rephrase the question? please?
Sure. So what I'm asking you is, I want you to assume for a moment
Yes.
that the evidence in the case demonstrates that the defendant is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. If that is the case, isn't it true that you don't want to convict him?
Your Honor, I object speculation.
Overruled. Overruled.
Well, I can't really answer a hypothetical question.
When you say you can't answer that hypothetical question, you indicated he's like a brother to you, correct?
Yes.
He gave you your start, correct?
He didn't give me my start, but yes, he is a brother to me.
Well, you indicated he got you out of a bad record label deal, correct?
I never said it was a bad record label deal. I just say he helped me get out my contract.
Was the contract you wanted to get out of?
Only because I felt as though it was.
Most of the strike is non-responsive.
You want to get out of the contract?
Yes.
And the defendant, who you would agree is a very powerful individual within the industry, helped you get out of it, correct?
Objection. Powerful.
Overruled.
I honestly read a contract book about the music
Most of the
business.
strike is non-responsive.
You're not answering this question.
Let me take one at a time. Do you agree that the defendant is a very powerful individual within the music industry?
Yes.
Do you agree that he was a powerful individual within the music industry even back in 2021?
Yes.
Do you agree that you have much less power and influence in the music industry?
Yes.
Would you agree that if the defendant wanted to tomorrow, that he has enough power to pretty much end your career if he wanted to?
Judge, reject that question.
What's the ground?
Argument. It calls for
Stay.
speculation.
Stay.
Does, given what you've said about the defendant's position and power, if he wanted to, do you believe that he has the ability and power to end your career tomorrow?
Objection, Your Honor. It's the same question.
Well, it is, but it goes to what Mr. Phillips believes, and I think that is relevant to. I think it's a fair question.
No, I don't believe that.
During your interview that you had with the defendants, did you mention the 3 incidents involving the prop gun that you testified to today?
I believe so.
Well, when you say you believe so, do you know that you mentioned them or not?
Yes.
Did you see, when you reviewed the summary, the explanation of what you said, did you see any mention of those incidents?
Your Honor, objection. Let's say it's misleading. He's asking direct questions. Sorry, I don't want to speak. I don't know what to do. It's the same objections before. Reading.
Misleading.
Reading from
On that ground.
Do you understand my question?
Can you rephrase it?
So I've just shown you what's been represented as your statement in this case, and I'm asking you, does it in anywhere mention the 3 incidents you just testified to about the defendant previously having a prop gun?
But it's not on it.
I'm
This is.
objecting. It's not. I'm objecting. It's not.
Read back.
I'm objecting because.
No, I understand. Read back. I might miss something in the question.
So I've just shown you what's been represented as your statement in this case. and I'm asking you, does it anywhere mention the 3 incidents you just testified to?
It's a
about
summary
the
of the estate.
So Your Honor, just a summary, I'm asking, does it mention anything about those statements? Those incidents? Does it mention anything about the 3 incidents you just testified to in 2018?
On this paperwork, I never seen this paperwork and I never made a statement, so I'm not too sure where this came from, but I advised about the situation that I've known before about the property.
So what I'm asking you is, when you were interviewed by the defense in this case, did you tell them about the 3 incidents in 2018?
Yes, I had to.
Who are non-family members as the defendant?
Everybody in the ASAP collective.
So you are equally close to everybody in the ASAP collective?
I show no favoritism, yes.
Well, didn't you testify on direct examination that, as an example, once you started traveling with the defendant as his hype man, that you didn't have really, I think your words were time for Relli anymore, correct?
It was time to hang out with Relli. We still maintained a verbal communication.
So is your testimony that you are as close to all the other ASAPs as you are to the defendant?
Yes, that's a fact.
And is that true to this day?
Yes.
Do you travel with any of the other ASAPs on tour?
Yes, I do.
Did any of their ASAPs, have they made it so that you were able to be their hype men?
Times, yes.
So is ASAP Tom's, is he as...
No, I said at times, yes.
Is he as big as...
No, at times.
He's saying at times.
Oh, at times, I'm sorry. So when you're saying at times, you would agree that the defendant, he's the only person that you traveled across the world with, correct? Of the ASAPs, where it's on his dime.
That is not true.
In terms of your work right now, in terms of what you're doing, you said you don't have a business relationship with him, but how often do you see and talk to him?
So, since he had his kid, probably like once or twice a month, and he's always traveling, so I don't get to see him that much.
Do you text with him still frequently?
Not really. Last text I sent was like on Yams Day.
You would call yourself a performer, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you do any acting as well?
No.
But you mentioned before that part of your job that you indicate as a hype man is you want to get the crowd going, is that right?
Well, for anybody that's a hype man, that's a part of the job description.
Right, so what that kind of means is that means looking at your audience and trying to figure out how you can get them excited or motivated, is that right?
Well, I wouldn't say motivated, and they're already excited because they're at the show. It's just more or less have them.
Don't sit so close to the mic.
Okay. It's more or less have them feel like they're a part of the show.
And in saying that they're a part of the show,
Yes.
you have to sit there and you have to kind of figure out, as a performer, hey, I'm up here, and how do I connect with my audience, whoever that is, right?
In a sense, yes.
As you sit here today, are you doing the same thing with the jury?
No.
You were asked questions by Mr. Tapafina on direct examination. Are you aware that approximately 8 or 9 different times when you were not asked, you mentioned gratuitously that Relli was either a large man or very muscled or big? Are you aware that you did that?
Objection.
Sustained.
What was he saying?
Sustained. Argumentative. Sustained.
Why did you, Mr. Phillips, repeatedly mention that Relli was a large, muscular man when you weren't asked?
Objection, are you? Same objection.
Well, the word repeatedly is argumentative.
Are you aware, Mr. Phillips, that during your direct examination, that you mentioned several times that Relli was a larger, muscular man?
Yes.
Are you aware that when you mentioned those comments, those were not in response to questions that called for that answer?
Objection, argument.
Over.
I was basically just giving a description of Relli. That was all I was doing.
When you were asked those questions, Mr. Phillips, would you agree that when you were giving that answer, you weren't being asked to give a description of Relli, you just added it. Would you agree?
I was adding a fact.
I'm sorry?
I was adding a fact.
So you were adding a fact that you wanted to make sure the jury knew, but it wasn't a question that you were asked. Is that correct?
Objection argumentative.
Sustain.
Why, if you were not asked a direct question to describe what size Relli was, were you telling the jury he's a large man, he's muscular? Why did you do that?
Again, Your Honor, I object.
Overruled.
Basically, I was describing a friend of mine that I used to work out with, and I was giving that detail just to let y'all know why I couldn't fight him. You know what I'm saying? Why I couldn't like pull him back at anything, because he's stronger than me.
Did you end up providing that information several points during your direct examination when you weren't being asked anything about why you didn't fight?
Your Honor, that's an argumentative objection.
He hasn't finished the question.
Oh, I thought he did, I'm sorry.
Did you finish the question?
I did.
Argumentative objection.
Right. Read the question back, please.
Did you end up providing that information several points during your direct examination when you weren't being asked anything about why you didn't fight?
All right. Overruled.
Can you rephrase the question?
Oh, she just, okay.
No, so I could answer you.
I'll just have the court reporter read it back so that we don't have any issues.
Okay. Kathy's going to read the question.
Okay, no problem.
Question, did you end up providing that information at several points during your direct examination when you weren't being asked anything about why you didn't fight?
I stated earlier when I got on here that I had an inguinal hernia surgery and I couldn't fight.
Motion to strike,
So
non-responsive.
the question is really confusing. Listen.
Your testimony, am I correct? Your belief is there was more than three, but you saw definite punches to Illz's face, correct?
Yes.
And were those close fist punches?
I believe so, yes.
And you have mentioned a few times that Relli is a very strong individual, correct?
Yes.
And can you describe, if you can, the force that any of those punches were delivered with?
I cannot describe the force, no.
Well, in watching it, did it appear that it was a strong punch, or did it just look like he wasn't really doing much?
Well, I know he was swinging at him and illz wasn't swinging back, so I understand it to be enough force to hurt somebody.
Right, and you said not only did you understand it to be enough force, but that illz was bleeding, correct?
He was bleeding from his lip, yes.
And did you see any other injuries to his face?
His face wasn't like broken or swollen or anything, not to my recollection.
Well, so he's punched 3 times in the face, is that correct?
Yes.
And you're saying the only injury that very muscular Relli gave to him was a cut on his lip, is that right?
The only injury that I could see was his lip. I'm not too sure about anything else.
Do you know, are you aware of illz seeking medical treatment?
No, I'm not too sure, no.
Do you know if as a result of being beaten like this, if illz was able to stay with you guys to continue what you were doing in your activities in Los Angeles?
Yes.
I want to just at the beginning, can you tell me who is that on the right? The woman?
That's not.
Okay, do you recognize the individual on her right?
No, I don't know.
Do you recognize the person on to the left of Rihanna?
No.
Now, you can't see the person in full view yet, but the person on the left, you're going to see them wearing a flag. Do you know who was wearing a flag on the night of November 7th?
Not that I remember. But that's like a part of our staff.
So here's my question. Do you remember what illz was wearing on November 7th?
I'm pretty sure He was wearing something similar to what we all wearing, or like all black ladies.
Let's play the video. I want you to look at the individual on the left. Stop, pause. Who's that?
He's that ill.
And I want you to watch it again. And I want you to tell me where you see any injury to him anywhere on his face.
Your Honor, I would object because of this focus.
Yes. Do you see an injury to his face?
To be honest, I can't clearly see his whole face.
Well, let me ask you something. Would you agree that you can see in this image right now, his lips are, you can see them, correct?
Yeah.
Didn't you just testify that he was bleeding from a cut lip?
I say he's bleeding from the lip. So I'm not too sure if it was a bottom, the inside, his tooth. I'm not too sure how it was.
So do you see any injury to his lips at all?
To be honest, if you really looking, his lip and his sides, it looks swollen.
It's now the next day, right?
Let me ask you, are you aware, Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
You said he didn't seek any medical treatment that you're aware of, is that right?
That I'm aware of, yes.
Are you able, when you look at the photograph, does this look to you like somebody who has been punched 3 times in the face by an extremely muscular man with a closed fist the night before?
He has a full American flag over his head. I'm not too sure what's going on in the side of his face or anything.
So just from what you can see, sir, can you please answer the question I've asked? Let me ask it again for you. Does that look to you like an individual who has been punched 3 times in the face with a closed fist by an extremely strong and muscular man less than 24 hours before this image is taken?
Your Honor, my only objection would be to the term closed fist. The witness said he wasn't sure.
Your Honor, that's a speak objection.
Actually, closed fist, there's no such thing as an open fist. A fist is a fist. There's no such thing as a closed. A closed fist is a fist. If it's not closed, it's not a fist.
Well, then my question would still be easy to understand, Your Honor. There's no issue.
Read the question back.
Your Honor, a fist could be not all the way closed, but a fist, closed fist, and that's what I asked. So
Show me an open fist.
an open fist would be like this, not closed. Can the question be read back, Your Honor?
Yeah, I'm asking for that.
Thank you. Didn't you previously state, when I asked you, that you believed it was with a fist or closed fist?
I know he hit him with his hand. I can't tell you the positioning.
That's not what it's not what I asked you. This is my question. Previously, when I asked you the question, I said, was it, in essence, an open or a closed fist? And you said you believed it was a closed fist, correct?
I wouldn't believe he was just smacking him. I believe he's punching him.
Okay, so you're saying you believe it was a closed fist, so here's my question. Do you believe that that photo appears to be consistent with someone who has been punched 3 times with a fist by a large and strong individual less than 24 hours before the image was taken?
Yes, I believe that.
And can you please explain what is it about that photo that leads you to believe that there is evidence demonstrating that the person was punched 3 times in the
There should be a
face?
pointer.
So I can't really see his whole face. As we all can see, he has an American flag, which is pretty large, on his head. So we can't see his ears, we can't see the side of his face. This is all we see. And we don't even see much of his lip. So
Let's watch a little more. I'm gonna keep stopping it. With what you see now, stop it please. Do you see any evidence in that video that you watched so far to support that he was punched 3 times in the face with a fist by a strong individual.
Well, I see he has a flag, but I see he's trying to hide something.
Wait, so you're saying you think he's wearing the flag because he's trying to hide something?
That yes, he could be hiding the bruise. We're at a show, so who wants to walk around a 10-year anniversary show with bruises?
Wait, you agree? All right, let's go to a different area here. One moment. I want to talk about your relationship with Relli.
Yes.
Would you agree that although you've known Relli a long time, you are much closer to the defendant than you are to Relli?
As of now, yes.
Wouldn't you agree, though, that always, for at least a long period of time, let's say the last 10 years, you've been much closer to the defendant than you have to Relli, is that right?
Yes.
In fact, you were asked on direct examination about your relationship, and what you said was, we had a good relationship in the early years. Do you recall that comment?
Yes.
Would you agree that in making that comment, it appears that you were saying that if you're qualifying that you had a good relationship with him in the early years, that means that in the later years, your relationship was not as good? Would you agree?
No, I'm not saying that.
So why did you qualify the statement? You're asked by Mr. Tacopina,
Yes.
what was your relationship like? And you say, on your own, we had a good relationship in the early years. Why did you answer that question by talking about the early years?
Oh, because earlier in my career, I was in the city more. So whether it was Bronx or Harlem, I could see him more back then. That was the only reason I said that.
Didn't you also add that you got much closer to the defendant because, quote, I didn't have time to deal with Relli? Do you remember saying that?
It's not like deal with him like he was an issue. It was I didn't have time to hang out with Relli.
Wait, when you were on direct, did you say you didn't have time to hang out with Relli? Did you say I didn't have time to deal with him?
I didn't have time to spend with Relli. I was busy.
That's not what I asked you. What I asked you was, who used the word deal?
If I did, I used the word deal.
Okay, so what you're telling me is now you're saying, when I said I didn't have time to deal with Relli, what I really meant was I didn't have time to spend with him.
I'm clearly stating I didn't have time to hang out with Relli before because I'm on tour. I'm in studio sessions that aren't in New York. I'm out the country. I'm in Asia. I'm in different places. I didn't have time to spend with him anymore.
And
Downtown at a hotel.
I don't want you to give me the name, but it's a nice hotel, I assume?
It's a cool hotel.
And
it's downtown LA. You know the area of downtown LA is crazy.
yeah, unfortunately, I can't answer your question.
You understand?
I didn't get that. What was that?
You understand, sir? We all do.
So, have you ever seen a prop gun fired other than what you're alleging occurred during this incident?
I have to work over that show.
Overall.
I guess just in movies and behind the scenes of movies and stuff. I'm a movie buff, so yes, I've seen them playing movies.
Do you think that you have the ability, by looking at a gun, to determine whether it is, for instance, a prop gun or instead a 9mm semi-automatic actual firearm?
Can you rephrase that question?
Yeah. So do you think by looking at it, seeing it, that you can tell the difference between a prop gun that's supposed to simulate like a 9mm firearm versus a real 9mm firearm? Do you think, can you tell the difference?
Well, I can't tell the difference, but in this situation,
Motion to strike is sustained.
So the answer is no.
no.
And is there any reason why you couldn't have a belt clip that would hold a prop gun and use that belt clip to hold a real firearm?
No, to my understanding, a real firearm is heavier than a prop.
Well, if it's a clip, can you explain to me how a belt clip, which is put on your belt, how the weight of the firearm would prevent it from being holstered in that kind of clip?
Objection, wrong. This is
Relevant?
Yes, I'm an expert, all the speculation.
Your Honor, he testified that it's the same gun, and I'm trying to explore why he thinks it's the same gun. I have to explore the area. I've got to cross it.
Says he has no experience with real guns,
Your Honor,
except that he fired.
No, but I'm asking about the prop gun. I'm asking him why is it that he believes it was a prop gun. Let me.
All right, I understand your point.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Let me ask. So here's what I'm asking. You're telling me you saw him with a gun in New York. How long before this incident?
A prop gun in New York, that was probably about a month and a week, or a month, or 2 weeks before we went to LA.
And you're saying that the reason you know that was the same prop gun that you're alleging he used on November 6th was because they were both in the same belt clip, correct?
Yes.
So my question to you is, how would you know that the same gun or prop gun or firearm was in his belt clip in New York 6 weeks before this incident, as was in his as was in his belt on the night that this occurred? How do you know it's the same thing?
Can you rephrase that?
So what I'm asking Mr. Phillips is, all you can say is that, you know what, he had a gun, it looked like a semi-automatic, you testified, I don't know the difference between a prop gun and a semi-automatic, I can't tell. And you're saying in New York, he had one in his belt clip, and you're going, I know that's the same prop gun that he had on November 6th because it's in the same clip. And what I'm asking you is, how do you know that on November 6th, just by looking, that was the same prop gun?
I knew it was the same modifications from the prop gun that I seen in New York. And I knew it had been modified from the first time I seen it at the DMV video shoot. So I knew it had like a specific look.
Okay, so you've decided that it's the same gun and that you believe him. You just said, I'm looking at it myself as well, because you looked at it and it looks the same to you. So you're saying, I looked at it, it looks the same, correct?
Yes.
But you're also saying, I don't know anything about guns.
Well, I don't. I just, from my recollection, I knew it to be the same device from the previous situation.
It's time to move on to another topic.
When you
It's time to move on to another topic.
when you use the word prop gun and starter pistol, are you using those terms interchangeably?
I believe prop gun is the section of it, and then a starter pistol is under the prop gun. Like I guess it's like a certain kind of prop gun. A starter pistol is a certain kind of prop gun.
Okay, so when you spoke to the defense, did you tell them that Rocky carried a starter pistol prop for security measures? Are those
Yes.
your words?
Yes.
Do you actually know specifically how a prop gun works? How it's fired, what happens when it's fired?
No, I don't.
Now, you testified that Mr. Mayers carried the starter pistol for, quote, security measures. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you said in your statement, would you agree that the only thing that you mentioned about that was he was known to do after being the victim of violence and home invasion?
Judge, objection to your statement.
Your Honor, this is
Sustain.
Your Honor, this has been presented as his statement.
Objection, speaking objective.
Oh, boy. All right. Right. That is a summary of his statement.
I'm going to give this to you again. I want you to review it. And I want you to tell me if there is anything in this statement that is not in fact what you said to the defense. I want you to read it to yourself. Do you understand?
You said that I did not say it.
No, that you, yeah, correct. I want you to read this, This is being represented as what you said.
Objection.
A summary of what he said.
A summary.
It's
So-
summaries, it's not word for word.
No, correct, there's no quotes, I want you to ask, I want you to read it, I want you to tell me, after you've read it, is there anything in there that is not a representation of what you said to them?
No, it's nothing negative.
So you're saying that's all correct of what you said to them, is that correct?
This is a summary, so I'm not too sure, like, I see it as this is what I said, and it could be things that I said that they didn't put there, but this is just a summary. I'm not too sure.
So let me ask you again, so here's what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, is there anything in here that is incorrect that you did not tell them?
No.
Objection.
So, All right. So at this point, Mr. Phillips, you've now said that this represents everything in here is what you said. You said there might be things that are not in here that you said, but there's nothing in here that you've read about what you said that you did not in sum and substance say.
Can you rephrase that?
In
I
other
don't
words,
understand you.
Sure. What I'm asking you is, you've read these 12 lines.
Yes.
These 12 lines, you're saying, you know what, these might not be my exact words, but this is what I told him.
A summary, yes.
Yes. And you were saying, I might have told him some things that are not here, correct?
No,
So this is this is everything you told him?
pretty much I believe.
Well, let me ask you something. I want you to look and I want you to tell me where there's anything about any prior incidents with Rocky carrying a prop gun.
Objection, relevancy.
Sustain.
On relevance ground, Your Honor?
Correct. Whether he sees it or not is irrelevant.
So the prop gun sounds and looks like a real gun. So I feel like if somebody's breaking into your home and they see you make a gesture to protect your home, they might not even shoot you. They might just leave. They
Don't,
go,
So,
you're getting a little bit loud. Don't sit so close to the microphone.
So, it's your testimony, though, your prior statements, that Relli knew, allegedly, this was a prop gun at the time the defendant pulled it out. Is that correct?
yes, I believe that.
Can you explain to me how, if Relli knew it was a prop gun, how pulling out a prop gun that Relli knows is fake is going to act as a deterrent to anything?
The sound.
When you look at it right now, does that appear to be, from what you can tell, what does AWGE mean?
Oh,
Huh?
oh,
What does that mean? Does that mean something?
meaning oh.
What- Okay. What's that term from?
Objection, relevancy.
What- It's, Your Honor, I'm having a career.
Do you know what that means?
No, I just know it's oh. It's just,
Do you know what the letters mean?
I don't know. I could have my own way, but I'm not
You
sure.
don't know for sure?
No.
Your Honor, did you hear the defendant, when I asked the question, loudly say, don't answer it?
I heard something. I'm not too sure what I heard. I was listening to you.
Did you hear somebody say, don't answer it?
I didn't hear what was verbally said. I heard something.
Isn't it true that AWGE, AWGE, is a brand that is connected with the defendant?
Yes.
So a moment ago, when I asked you what AWGE was, and you said I have no idea, why did you say that when you're now saying, yes, it's a brand connected with the defendant?
Objection, this states testimony, Your Honor. That's what it means. Not what it
Yeah,
was.
that was the question. Yeah. Sustain.
As I said before, I did not hang out in his bedroom, so I do not know what he had in his bedroom.
But you testified that it was your understanding that the defendant was keeping a prop gun for, among other things, protection against home invasions, correct? That's what you testified to.
Yes.
So, do you know why, if the defendant was keeping a prop gun for protection against home invasions, that he had a large caliber handgun, a rifle, and a shotgun next to his bed?
Objection, speculation. Sustain.
Are you aware if a prop gun has ever been collected from the defendant?
I have no idea.
Now, you said that at the time of the incident, that the defendant did not have access to security, is that correct?
Correct.
And you said that was because of COVID, is that right?
Yes.
But weren't you at a giant concert the next day in Long Beach that had all kinds of security?
They provided security.
Well, so are you telling me that the defendant, your testimony, was not in a position to have security if he wanted it on November 6th?
Can you rephrase that?
Isn't it true, Mr. Phillips, that the defendant didn't have any security on November 6th because you and he and illz did not want any security there when you were going to attack Relli?
That's
I would object to what illz, Rocky wanted.
Your Honor, those are not grounds for objection.
Calls for speculation of the mind of another. So it is a ground.
The question is not called for speculation. I'm asking what's that, Your Honor? Isn't it true that you knew in advance that the defendant was planning on attacking Relli? Yes or no?
That's not true. Can you rephrase that?
So there was no security when the three of you, illz, and the defendant, met up with Relli, correct?
Correct.
So my question is, are you saying there was no security because there was no security available? Or are you saying there was no security because you guys didn't want security?
There was no security available that he hired. They had security at a complex con already. So I felt as though this is what I believe. Why pay for extra security when you have security at the venue?
At this point in time, were you aware of any, I'm not asking you to explain what it is, so listen to my question carefully. Were you aware of any issues between Relli and the defendant on November 6th?
Rephrase that.
So were you aware of any problems between Relli and the defendant on November 6th?
A problem? No. No.
Why, let's get to it, stop ducking my calls. Would you agree?
Yes.
Would you agree, knowing the defendant, that that sounds like he is upset with the person he's sending it to?
No, because actually, Rocky typing all caps. So it's like, nah, this is regular. We right, let's get to it. Stop looking at my calls. He's calling him. It doesn't seem like he's exclamation marks and everything. It's regular.
Stop ducking my calls. You would agree that means that Relli's not answering his phone calls, correct?
Yeah, he's not picking up.
Okay.
It's odd that he wouldn't be invited.
Well, would you agree that it wouldn't be odd if the defendant is upset with it?
It would be odd if he was upset with him, but I don't think he was upset with him
So,
at rehearsal.
when's the first time you saw the prop gun in the defendant's possession that day?
In his possession,
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. It might have been the altercation,
Okay, so,
like in his possession.
so you
because
said
the-
he had it earlier that day.
Yes, the AWGE had it earlier that day because Rocky was on stage rehearsing, so he couldn't rehearse, jump around, and get ready for the show in that state. So he gave it to AWGE.
Did you actually see this?
I only seen Lou with it. I didn't see when he gave it to him. No, I was also on stage rehearsing.
How do you know that ASAP Lou, the gun that he had, was the same gun that the defendant had?
Well, Lou is the only liaison at the show that could be able to do anything with Rocky aside from us. So that's why I believe it to be the same thing. He walks from the car, Rocky walks up, Rocky's not doing anything. He doesn't grab Rel first or anything. He's walking up to Rel, and as soon as he gets up to Rel grabs him.
So,
As soon as he sees Rocky, he grabs him.
and when you say he grabbed him, what hand he grabbed him?
I believe his left hand.
Okay. And when he grabbed him, did you see him attempt to punch him?
When he grabbed him, he automatically started because he got him by his I think his hoodie and stuff. So I'm not too sure if he's trying to pull his hoodie over or he's just trying to kind of have Rocky in the air dangle. I see that's what he was doing.
Well, let me stop. You said he grabbed him with one hand, but
Yeah.
now you're gesturing like he's grabbing with two hands. How many hands he grabbed him?
He ended up grabbing him with two hands, yes.
Did he start with one
He
hand?
started with one hand.
Which hand he grabbed with first?
He grabbed it with his left hand, I believe. I was behind.
And how far away were you from Relli and the defendant?
Well, I wasn't that close because I literally had to get up to them and get in the middle. So I wasn't that close.
I'm asking you, did you see the gun come out of the clip? I'm not asking you,
Yes or no?
when you saw it put back, did you see it come out?
Yes. I did not see him remove it. I see him put it back.
Okay, so that's my question. The first time you saw the gun was when it was being put back?
Yes. You see Rocky with the prop in his hand. You also see Rocky put the prop away. You feel me? But you don't see how the prop gets into his hand.
Relli and the defendant, I'm sorry, you got the defendant reaching towards Relli and Relli grabbing the defendant's hand or arm in response.
No, what I see is Relli putting his hand up. So he moves it from his back, and then he automatically goes to grab Rocky. That's what I see.
You agree that it shows illz trying to get the defendant off Relli, yes or no?
I say no. I don't think he's trying to get him off because you don't see Rocky as dominant right here. So I think he's just trying to get in the middle to the
You agree that what you just showed shows illz backing Relli up?
Yes.
Would you agree that as a defendant, that Relli is considerably bigger and stronger than illz as well?
Yes.
Do you agree that knowing Relli and knowing illz and knowing the strength between them, that if Relli had wanted to go forward and after the defendant, that he had the ability at that point?
Possibly.
Possibly? I'm asking you, from what you've seen, does it look like Relli in any way trying to go after the defendant?
Right then and there, his hand coming around him, so I'm not too sure what he was doing.
So, the defendant has a gun in his hand. Agree? Agree? Say yes?
Yes.
And do you agree that at this point in time, that the defendant is aggressively moving towards illz and Relli?
Well, in this clip, because Relli was already grabbing him and kind of like, trying to little boy him, you feel me? So I just see Rocky trying to get himself out of the corner. Just trying to get himself out of the corner, get himself from out of here. I'm not too sure what else is right here. He could have been backed up against the side of the garage. And he was just trying to get himself up out of that situation.
So you're saying the defendant is trying to get himself out of that situation?
He's just trying to get himself up out of here. He doesn't have the proper Relli. He's not pointing the proper at Relli. He's not doing anything like that.
So, at this point in time, is this when Relli yells, "Put that fake gun away"?
So, as Rocky starts turning, yes, he says, "Big ass gun away."
And your position, I just want to be clear, that at this point in time, when that gun comes out,
Yes.
Relli knows it's a fake gun.
Yes, I believe that,
Okay?
yes.
Continue. Gun is out. They go off screen with the gun still out. So what I'm asking you is, do you know what the defendant did with the gun when they went off screen?
Yes, he was still trying to put it back in his waistline. The gun was down. So I believe he was trying to put it in his front belt, but he couldn't. So that's when he turned around, he readjusted and put it to like the side.
Wait, so your testimony is that he pulled the gun out, and then immediately after pulling the gun out, tried to put it back.
He didn't pull the gun. So, like I said, from him getting pulled by Relli, his clothes weren't secure. So his clothes weren't secure. The prop clip wasn't secure. You feel me? So he didn't pull it out. He's a dominant right hand. He would have pulled it out with his right hand, I'm guessing. Here, he's using his left hand to the whole time.
Questioning the witness for 2 hours and 40 minutes.
They
90 minutes remaining. You have 90 minutes. I'm controlling the progress of the case. That means over 4 hours with witness.
Wait, Your Honor,
You have 90 minutes remaining.
Your Honor, as a ethical duty to actually effectively prosecute this case.
You're going to have to do it in 90 minutes.
But the court's going to do what it's going to do, but at least
Right.
allow me to be heard. I
Go
mean,
ahead. Say what you want to say.
They had the witness, the victim, on the stand for 3 days. They asked him question after question about his income, about more irrelevancies than I can add up. I'm going through video where the witness is impeaching himself left and right on the central issues in this case. And the court is saying, you got to hurry up. We have to be able to do our job. I'm not wasting time. I am asking questions that are getting important information. And when the court didn't get them at all, this witness is as important as the victim.
The reason Relli took so long is because he was so uncooperative and he would not answer a question. This witness is answering questions. Over 4 hours is enough. You have 90 minutes remaining. Just use your time wisely. That's it. 90 minutes. An hour and a half more. I'm sure you can get it done in that time. Oh, anything? No, Your Honor. Mr. Zelk, anything? No. Mr. Lewin, anything more? All right. See you at 10 o'clock on Monday.